Welcome back everyone to the Audacious Money Witch channel where we talk about investing and trading stocks, bonds, and crypto assets around the world. The greatest of human achievement has always been measured by size. The bigger, the better. Until now. Nanotech, Moore's Law, small is the new big. Because if we make microchips smaller, we can make cancer smaller. AI chips industry is driven by affordable shrink, meaning the ability to make it smaller. More energy efficient transistors at the right price. Reducing the size of transistors means more can be packed into a given area, resulting in increased functionality and improved performance. Lithography is a key driver for shrink. ASML offers world-leading holistic lithography solutions. In this video, I will be explaining why I just found my next big investment. I just started buying ASML shares. I will tell you what is ASML, why this could be the next Nvidia-like opportunity at its early stage. Let's jump right in. ASML is now trading down to a price point of 670s. I see value in this one. This will be a new stock I am buying from now on. ASML is at 2024 year low, the lowest point it's been the entire year. We don't often see companies that are this monopolistic trading down this much. When we look at what ASML does, we can get a few opinions on where this company really stands from an investor's viewpoint. ASML, the semiconductor equipment company, AI is a strong growth story for the coming decade. Most AI technology will become commoditized, and it is hard to know who the winners will be in 10 years.
Out of all the different ways you can play AI, I think ASML is one of the most predictable and exciting way to invest into AI right now. We will go into that a little bit deeper, but I think that's a very meaningful statement. The company makes instruments about the size of a bus. They sell them for around 300 million a pop. They are the only instruments in the world that can be used to make cutting-edge semiconductors needed to power the service for AI. Other competitors are probably 20 to 30 years away.
Indeed, some say other companies are like 20 to 30 years behind ASML. Well, the truth is, they probably are. Other companies are nowhere close to ASML, and that's why, in the truest sense of a monopoly, I like to invest in monopolistic companies that have a very wide moat and very few competitors. ASML is unique in the fact that it literally has no competitors. It is, in the truest sense, a monopoly when we look at what this company really does. Using extreme ultraviolet EUV light at wavelength of 13.5 nanometers, ASML's EUV lithography systems make it possible to print the smallest features on microchips at the highest density. EUV systems are used for the most intricate, critical layers on the most advanced microchips. ASML is currently the world's only manufacturer of EUV lithography systems.
Here's my take. ASML produce different kind of instruments, but the main focus is the lithography part of the technology in this instrument. So in order to understand ASML, you need to understand how microchips are made. I actually did this in my thesis project for my chemistry degree. The first step is called deposition. Typically, to deposit different materials such as metals or conductors, insulation films, and semiconductors onto the silicon wafer. Second, the wafer is then coated with a light-sensitive layer called photoresist. Third step is lithography. Light is projected onto the wafer through a radical. Optic shrinks and it focuses the radical patterns. This pattern is then printed onto the wafer when the resist layer is exposed to the light. Next, the wafer is then baked and developed to make the pattern permanent. With a pattern of open spaces, reactive gases are used to etch away materials from the open spaces, leaving a 3D version of the pattern. The wafer may be bombarded with positive or negative ions to tune the semiconductor properties. Finally, removing photoresist. After the layer is etched or ionized, the remainder of the photoresist coating that was protecting the area not to be etched is removed. The entire microchip manufacture process is known as semiconductor fabrication, short for chip fab. From start to test, the packaged device ready for shipment can take between 18 to 26 weeks, depending on the complexity of the microchip. Fab or foundry like TSMC, Intel, and Samsung actually work on this whole process, while ASML is focused on the third step, lithography. They are a real monopoly on this.
They're about 15 times more complex than the GWST telescope, and the newest generation of instruments cost north of $400 million apiece. Those instruments are being sold to mainly three big customers, TSMC, Samsung, and Intel, who make up over 80% of their customer base. They're highly complex machines. They have a concentration in customer base. TSMC, Samsung, and Intel are going to be around for a long time. Everyone needs these advanced chips, and these lithography instruments at ASML are the critical component in the manufacturing of what TSMC, Samsung, and Intel do. So ASML plays this small but critical role in the overall semiconductor manufacturing. The instruments itself consist of over 100,000 unique parts and about 10 million lines of code. They're almost non-reproducible by any other company, simply due to the ridiculous amount of complexity once an instrument is sold. It will operate for 7 years, and there's an agreed upon 90% availability. The customer will have the initial investment back in about 6 months. So having these instruments up and running all the time is a massive priority. So they have a huge recurring maintenance even after the initial massive instrument is sold.
Speaking of size does matter. The size of these massive instruments, they take 40 shipping containers to ship across the ocean, 20 trucks, and 3 Boeing 747s just to ship one of them. That's how big and complex these instruments are. So we know the technological dominance of ASML, but this also plays into a broader role of investing. ASML is positioned to be an AI beneficiary. ASML's advanced photolithography instruments are essential for producing the powerful, energy-efficient chips needed for the AI development. Even if AI tools become commoditized, ASML will still benefit. There's technology dominance. ASML's extreme ultraviolet lithography, the EUV instruments, those are the main ones we're talking about here. Those are estimated to be 20 years ahead of the competition, creating a significant moat. As for revenue, ASML benefits from recurring revenue streams through maintenance and upgrades, services provided throughout its instrument's life. So again, it's not good when you have a company that has a lumpy revenue because they sell an expensive instrument and then they don't have any profit for a number of years. In this case, ASML is constantly selling a new version of these instruments, but then also signing long-term maintenance agreements. So they have that nice recurring revenue. There's semi-supercycle of increasing demand for AI chips, coupled with government initiatives like the US CHIPS Act is expected to drive a semiconductor supercycle benefiting ASML.
Limited customer base is a risk of the company. They are largely concentrated into only those three companies, TSMC, Samsung, and Intel. Now, those three companies have to make semis and they have to use ASML so long as those companies are around. They're going to be using ASML. There's trade restrictions. That's another thing that could potentially affect it. The current free cash flow projections are estimated to be at around 4.5% free cash yield with high teens to low 20s annual growth projected over the next decade. This is not only a dominant monopolistic company that has the stamp of approval, but it also comes down in price. People are worried about this company and some of the restrictions, so we've seen a big trade down from $1,100 per share to now only trading at $669 per share. Forward PE is traded at 27 and it pays a dividend. All of that looks really good to me, except for ASML is an ADR, just for your information. Next year it's going to be at least $4 billion in free cash flow, and I'll see it stepping up from there year after year. And if it's true that semiconductors and AI are going to continue to push growth for the next decade, I think this is a very interesting one for me to start a position now. For a wonderful company like this, you need to buy the weakness and hold.